and you're catching another episode of Awesomely Autistic TJ. My husband wants to throw me off. Get out of here! Hey everybody! So I just wanted to get on. It's been a couple weeks since I've done a video, and there he is. And so I figured I'd just start with an update. Where are we at? What's going on? A lot happens in 2 weeks of time. Lots of appointments, intakes, new information. And so where are we at right now? Speech therapy, we have up to twice a week now. We're looking at getting occupational therapy increased as well, but there's some scheduling conflicts. So, as you guys know, I'm a full-time college student, 15 credit hours. I also work 25 hours a week, on top of therapy appointments for my oldest and for TJ. So scheduling is really hard. Let's see. So I'm working on getting him approved for the developmentally delayed program through the state of Idaho, but it's a process. That is the program that will help pay for his applied behavior analysis therapy, the ABA therapy, and people often think it's a quick, like, oh, let's go get him. Let's go get him in this, and it's not how it works. I was also referred by a couple people to a place called Positive Connections in Twin Falls, and they thought that would be the spot for him to get the help that he needs, and unfortunately, they don't even work with kids until the age of 5. So, living in a rural area like Twin Falls, yes, we just hit the population to where we are now considered metropolitan, but we don't have the resources that we need for children this age. So we are actually looking at moving out of state. And we have a couple places in mind. I won't disclose those. We're still doing research. But we do have 2 states in mind so far. And we're just kind of really doing all the research on that. When we move, there has to be good mental health care. There has to be good hospitals, children's hospitals. Education has to be very high up there in the ranking in the United States, because where there's good education, my children will receive good special education services in school. So one of the places that we're looking at is really high up on the list. Another place, not so much, but through word of mouth on different support groups, I hear that their autism services are amazing, and so is their insurance, their Medicaid insurance. And so my oldest is considered disabled, so he's on full Medicaid. And so wherever we go, Medicaid has to be great. That's a real big thing. Let's see. I made a little timeline because I get so squirrely. So with everything going on, just so much stress and getting things in order, got overwhelmed and chopped it off, but feels so much better. And I even noticed today that Terry plays with it so much less, maybe because there's not so much of it. So that's really exciting, and I like it. I was afraid I was going to hate it. I call it my Britney moment, but I didn't shave my head, so that's good. So I kind of wanted to, as you know, Terry's been out of daycare for 3 weeks now, and his regression led me to want to do this video because we've been in the process of trying to find a daycare that A, has openings, and B, that's willing to work with an autistic child. And I thought it would be good to make a video on what our journey looked like trying to find daycare. That way, if you're catching this video later, you can maybe figure out where to start. And so we started by looking up the top recommended daycares in the area and ones that were close to us. And then we made some phone calls on. I have to say that I also looked at recommendations from not family. I got no family out here. Recommendations from friends and church members in the area to see, who they recommended. Because word of mouth is huge. It's really big. So we got quite a few names of some places, and we started to do some calling. We also looked into some places that we hadn't really heard much about, but they were close to where we are. And I called some, and I went into others. And here's how it went. Yes, we deal with autistic children. Sorry we don't have any openings. You can get on the list. Yes, we have experience with autistic children. You can get on the waiting list, right? So there's a couple places in town that are ready, willing, and able to love on autistic children and treat them no different than anybody else and give them the extra care that they need. But the problem is they're filled because they're amazing facilities. So one facility, we were number 10 on the list. Another one, we were number 1 on the list, but it's not often that they get openings. And so I was like, oh, I really felt defeated for a little while. And so I said, let's go drive over to this one. It's by the house. Let's go see what they're talking about. Facility? Great. One of the nicest facilities I have ever seen. Top notch, right? Problem is, the minute you said autism, the face was like, and the conversation went totally left. So, I've laid out some steps and some ways to start with the care about. So, figuring out like who's going to care for my child. And first step is reaching out, finding places, calling to see if they have any openings. If not, get on the wait list anyways. Get on the wait list because you never know how fast or slow they will move, and then go see about these facilities. So I suggest doing majority of your questions for the facility that you're inquiring about in person, because you can read tone and body language and facial expressions so much better, and you can't do that over the phone. So those are really big in deciding on whether or not you think that the facility is going to be a good fit for your child. So basic questions. If you've never gotten your kid in daycare, maybe you don't know the basic questions, and I'm not going to make you feel like any less of a person, but hours. What are their hours? When do they open? When do they close? What's the cost? Is it a weekly cost? Is it a monthly cost? What's full-time hours considered? What's part-time hours considered? And what is the price difference? What are the costs for those two different areas? Meals and snacks, what's provided? Some daycares provide morning breakfast in the morning. Some don't. Some just provide a morning snack. So if you're rushing, or you're always rushing in the morning and you don't feed your kid, you want to know, are they being fed? Or are they getting a little bit of crackers and then they have to wait till lunch? Or, what's the process? So always make sure you find out what meals are included and what snacks are included. Ask about their food. What do they serve? Great, you're on the food program, but what types of food do you guys serve? What does your typical meal look like? And do you have a meal sheet? So like, what's provided? What do you need to bring? Do you need to bring blankets, a sleep pad? Obviously, if your children are smaller, you're going to need to bring diapers and wipes and rash cream. But how much? How much is allowed to be stored there? These are all questions that I would ask if I was new and looking to get my child into a facility. So just those types of basic questions. Holidays. What holidays are they open? What holidays are they closed? Are there any days that they close early? Like day before Christmas, do you close at 4 p.m. instead of 6? Those are good things to ask too, because a lot of people that have their children in daycare have to work the holidays. They have to work the day before. They don't get off early. So it's good to know these things in advance to make sure that, thank you, sir, just to make sure that you have all the information that you need. Ask for a calendar. Ask for the rules and regulations. What's the payment policy? When's payment due? Forms of payment. Do they take cash? Is it credit only? Checks? That's all really important to know. What's the vacate policy? Do you have to give a 2 week notice? Do you have to pay for the full month? You know, those are some other things that you need to know. Um, let's see. So that's the basic. Um, and then you drop and you say, so if you don't have your child with you, then they're not going to see those signs, right? That maybe your child is autistic or developmentally delayed. And so if they're there, they've probably already picked up on it. And they've probably already become uneasy if they're not going to be a daycare that's willing to take care of an autistic child. Just going to lay that out there. It happened to us at one of the daycares that we went and looked at. You could absolutely tell they didn't know what to do with themselves, and it was overwhelming. The next thing is, so you say, do you have openings for this age group? I have a child who is 2.5 years old, but he is at the level of whatever in play. So Terry Jr. is at a 9 to 12 month level with play. He puts things in, he takes things out, and he does it repetitively. And so he's learning to play. And so I would say he's 2.5, but he's at a 9 to 12 month play level. Is children with autism something that your staff can take care of? Is that something that you can assist with? And right off the bat, you're going to see if they've had experience, they're like, oh, they're going to be like, yes, we da 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 da, and they're going to go into the spiel about how they've helped autistic children. Or if not, they're probably going to be honest and say, we've never had a child with autism, but let's talk. What extra stuff what does your child need? If they're not willing, the first question or the first word that you're going to hear is probably going to be, well, can they, or well, will they, or that's another one. If somebody has to walk out. Sorry, allergies. Walk out. It's not for you. If somebody has to well or that's not the facility for you. Let's see. Read their facial expressions when you're talking about it, when you drop that on them, that your child has autism and is going to need some extra care while they're at their facility. That response that they give you right away and their facial expressions will tell you a whole lot. So we found a place that absolutely knows about autism, has a couple autistic children in their facility, knows how all autistic children are different, and started to tell us how, they work with outside providers and such. And I just knew that was going to be the spot for us to be. So let's see, what did I write? So do they know anything about autism, or are they willing to learn? If somebody's willing to learn, that means that they want to progress, they want to grow their business, and they want to love on children no matter the situation. So that's a good sign. So I wouldn't say completely X out somebody that hasn't dealt with autism if they're willing to learn about it and to figure out how to best help you and your child. What is the policy about outside providers coming in? How do they sound? What are their facial expressions when you say, well, my child's in speech therapy and occupational therapy, and there may be times when they want to come in, observe the child, see how they act in this type of setting, and possibly even work with them. What's the policy? If they're uneasy about a professional coming in from the outside, or don't make it seem like that's something that they really want to agree on, I would really question why. Why are they not okay with what's best for the child? That helps them out. That gives another helping hand. That shows them how to work with that child, how you're working with the child outside of that setting, and it really just makes a better environment for everybody. So a daycare should be willing to let outside providers like habilitative interventionists, behavior specialists, speech therapists, occupational therapists, behavioral therapists, any of those types of specialty providers should be allowed into the daycare setting. Do they have a spot where you can go if they don't want to do like a group type therapy with your child and the children in the classroom? Is there a small, quiet space to where they can go and work with the child like they would if you were to go to the occupational therapy office or the speech therapy office, to where they could really focus and get the child to engage with them? That's probably something that's pretty important, because if they're trying to keep the child engaged in the corner of the room and you got all this other commotion going on, it may be hard to do. So that's something that I would ask about. Next one is going to be really big, especially with our children. Is there people in the facility educated in early childhood? Does anybody have a degree? What is the curriculum based off of? A lot of really good high-end facilities will have somebody that's strictly concerned is creating curriculum based off of the education that they have received and the different types of play. Do they speak of the different types of play? Parallel play and I'm not an early childhood specialist. I'm still learning all of this, but there's like 16 different types of play. Do they even mention that? Or do they just say, your kid's going to learn while they're here? It's really important that people know about early education with our children, because our kids are at one level and we need them to get to another level. And so they need to know where they're at and where they're going to get, and the curriculum that may or may not help them get there. I mean, if you don't have the education, it's pretty much a glorified babysitter. You're paying somebody that has their own private experience, maybe raising children or helped with a brother or sister, but you don't really have anybody that's truly learned the fundamentals of early education. And I think that's extremely important. So you're going to have to explain to the daycare facility what areas that your children are going to need help with, their strengths, their struggles. Are they willing to do it? Like I would say, Terry's a climber. He likes to climb. You're probably going to take him down 100 times a day. If that's going to be an issue that he climbs, let me know now. He may not come to circle time. He may not sit still and listen to you read a story. He may try to take the book out of your hand. These are all things that may happen, right? He doesn't like to engage with other children. He likes to flee his seat when he eats. Are you willing to provide a high chair so he can sit and eat his food without escaping the group? Sometimes that's hard for him to sit around a bunch of people and sit still and eat his food. If he doesn't like certain food, he's going to throw them. What would you do if something that you're serving, there's nothing that he'll eat? All of these things are important questions. You want to make sure that when you pick your child up at 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, whenever it is that you get them, that they haven't starved all day because they don't like what's being served. So what are the alternatives? Are you able to bring in things that your child eats? Because as you all know, our children have specifics that they will and will not eat. Terry, he'll eat fruit all day, but a lot of the other stuff he's not going to eat. Doesn't matter what it is, macaroni and cheese, homemade pizza. He's pretty picky. I did hear while he was at his old daycare that he ate more than what he did at home. Obviously, we didn't see that. And so it's almost hard to believe, because he doesn't do that at home. It's like fruit, yogurt, every once in a while it'll be a hot dog or a slice of ham, some goldfish crackers, but he really doesn't eat a whole lot. So I'll be curious to know, working with this new daycare, they're really going to give me a lot of information on where he's progressing, where they see he's struggling at that daycare, things that he loves to eat, things that he absolutely did not touch. As most of you know that have been following, I have a journal, and I like to keep detailed information to figure out, like, where is he at? Where did he start? Where have we come? And to see what areas we need to continue to work on. So I'm excited that they will communicate with me on a higher level to make sure that I have all that documentation that I'm looking for. Something else. Are they willing to redirect your child to different sensory devices? A lot of our children have, I hate to call them chew toys, so I've picked up device. Makes them sound like an animal chewing on a toy, and I don't like that. So are they willing to redirect to a sensory chew? You know, if they put something else in their mouth that's not supposed to be chewed on, redirect with this sensory chew. If they're not willing to do that, I would be concerned a little bit, because children that age need to be redirected quite a bit for other things. And so it's almost just another form of redirection, right? We don't punish kids at 2.5 and put them in timeout. At that age, it's just redirection, 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 especially with autistic children, because they're not going to get the whole timeout thing. So are they willing to redirect to something that's safer? If so, great. If not, I would question why, find out a little bit more on their reasoning, and see if you can come to an agreement on what your child may need and how they can help, if everything in your conversation has gone well so far. Let's see. If at any point in your conversation, did they mention soothing techniques? What do they do to help soothe children? Ask that question if you don't hear it. What do you do to help soothe children during nap time or when they're upset? You want to know these types of things. Do they rock? Do they rub their backs? Do they give them hugs? What do they do? And 9 times out of 10, they should ask you, what do you do at home? When he gets upset and he's struggling, what do you guys do at home? That way you have some interaction between like what he's used to, and then they can, always try other things. Cameras. Do they have cameras? A facility that has cameras is not afraid of anything. They are not afraid of the staff that they have. They look at it as an advantage and not a disadvantage. And if they have a camera system, 9 times out of 10, they'll let you look at it. So that's a question to ask. Are you willing to let me come in when my child doesn't know I'm here, maybe 20 minutes before I pick up, and take a look at the camera from time to time to see how he's interacting? Or maybe I want to pop in at lunchtime and see how he's doing in the cafeteria, or maybe after I drop them off, I want to kind of take a look. So obviously, you're not going to be in their office on the camera making it a burden on them, but are they willing from time to time, if you want to watch, or your providers, the speech therapist, occupational therapist, the behavioral therapist, maybe they want to go in and see that stuff from the outside and see how they're acting. So that's another big thing. And then some states have a quality rating system. In Idaho, we have something called Idaho Stars, and they focus on just that quality, and it's a rating system. And they work with daycares to make sure that they're providing the highest quality care. If there's something like that in the area, you want to look for a daycare that has gone above and beyond to become rated with the state. It means that they've gone through extra trainings and they're really willing to go the extra mile to make sure that children get the best care that they can receive. And then my last question is just, do they go above and beyond for the children? The new facility that we're in, they rarely serve like processed foods. They might can a soup or something, but macaroni and cheese made from scratch. Nothing is frozen or out of a box, which is really cool. So I found that really interesting. So do they go above and beyond? Do they have a curriculum specialist? Do they just seem to be about money? Are they just trying to fill their spots? Or do they truly care about the child? Do they know what they're doing in the... Terry, do you want to say hi? Come here. Terry. He's got a Pediasure, and he's going to get the rest of it and make a mess, I'm sure. Come here, bub. Oh, come here. want? Good job. Good sign. Can you say hi? Who's that? Hey. Uh-oh. Who's that? Who's that? Terry. Give me those toys. 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 Oh, I got you. Oh, Mama got you. Hey, who's that boy? Oh, get you, get you, get you, get you. Get you, get you, get you, get you, get you. Oh, get you, get you, get you, get you, get you. Hey, do you want this? Do you want? Oh, that's not nice. Say want. Want? Want? Here. So, of course, we can get distracted with Terry because this channel is all about him. You gonna finish? Okay, drink it. Do nice. Go slow. Go slow. Okay. So back to where I was. We're just about done here. So yeah, do they go above and beyond? Or does it just seem like they're in it for the money and they want to fill up the spot? Most facilities that have been open for a while will have a pretty consistent occupancy. They'll be hard to get into for all ages. And where was I going with that? Hey, he just threw it down on the ground. We're working on that. They will have consistent employees too. A good daycare doesn't have a high turnover rate. People that stay with the company, love the kids as much as they do, have a degree, they're being paid well, and they like where they work, they're going to stay. So if you see constant openings or constant hiring and firing, that would be something that I'd be really iffy about. So take a scroll. I mean, everything's out there for everybody to see. Take a look at Facebook. What do you see on their Facebook? What do they post? That will take you a lot onto the inside of the daycare and what they do and how they handle business. So I think that about wraps it up. All my stuff disappeared on here. Oh, there it is. That just about wraps it up. Another episode of Awesomely Autistic TJ, following us on his journey to greatness. Oh, I forgot to tell you. I can't remember where we left off last time, but Terry has these weird staring spells and laughing spells, and I stumbled across something called galactic seizures. Maybe we talked about this, but we actually saw this his pediatrician about it, and we showed him a video, and he said, let's go to neurology. So with TJ being autistic, we're not quite sure that the staff here in Twin Falls is trained to do an EEG. And so they want us to go to Boise to the Children's Hospital for them to perform the EEG. The issue with that is you have to have them sleep deprived, and it's 2 hours away. And so we're trying to figure out a way to get to Boise, not have him go to sleep, and it not cost an arm and a leg. And so somebody suggested the Ronald McDonald House for our family to stay the night. So that might be something that we experience and that we get blessed with. So we're currently waiting to see what the process is, the waiting time to get in. But he does have a neurology appointment. We're about 2 months out, which is really good. A lot of places are 4 to 6 months out. And we're getting ready to schedule his EEG. So that will be quite interesting. But another milestone, I think we're day 4. I would ask Terry, but he's not in here. But I think we're like day 4 to where Terry has not drove Terry Jr. around to go to sleep. So we're getting him up early. We're trying to get him back on a school schedule, putting him down for a nap. I think he's been getting about an hour nap a day, and then going to bed anywhere between, 9 and 12. So I don't know. I feel like, no. Thank you. Life with Terry. So he's got a thing with pulling pen caps out with his teeth, and then he gets ink everywhere. It's crazy. But I don't even know where I was. This is life. Hey, get down! Get down! Get down! Thank you, sir. The EEG, the Ronald McDonald House. I think I was saying, trying to get that all figured out. Yeah, lost my train of thought. So if it's important, oh well. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. TJ's getting antsy. Oh, bedtime. That's what I was saying. I think he's gotten the first night of this roll that we're on was like 13 hours he slept. He hasn't slept that long ever, I don't think. The next night was like 10 hours. And I think last night was like 8 hours. So I don't know if his body's just trying to play catch up from the crazy sleep patterns that he's had lately. But I think last night was at least 8 hours. And he's doing pretty awesome. So. Yeah. You like sleep, right? Hey, Mom. You do Mom? Mom. Do Mom. What are you going to do with that? Ah! So, alright guys, we're going to get off of here. Say love you. Oh, big boy. You scare me. You scare me. Oh, say bye. Hey, look at there. Say bye. 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 Knuckles. Do knuckles. Boom. Alright guys, we'll catch you next time. Peace. And I don't know what I'm doing, honey. You better come in here.